Okay, let's do today's Redactle. I should mention that Redactle is one of several puzzles in my morning rotation of puzzles. They also include the New York Times Connections, New York Times Spelling Bee, and then I do Redactle, and the other one I do a lot is Clues by Sam, which is an awesome puzzle. I've already solved today's Clues by Sam, so I won't solve it for you. Great logic puzzle. But Redactle comes out a little later in the morning, so I'll do the Redactle on camera. And, okay, so yesterday it was British Raj. Going into this cold, let's see what we got. 712. Again, if you're new to this, just a brief introduction. Redactle presents you with a Wikipedia article in which every word has been replaced by a blank, has been redacted. I have the setting turned on that shows the word counts. That is this setting here, which makes it a little easier to work with. And you guess words, and gradually uncover them and eventually work out what the title of the Wikipedia article is to solve the puzzle. These are really hard, especially at first. After you've done a lot of them, it gets easier because you become familiar with patterns. I know a few things from looking at this. I know it's an entity of some type. I don't know if it's a physical entity yet. I know it's not a famous person. And the reason for that is that after you've done a few of these, you begin to recognize what a famous person article looks like. Also, the use of the word is a giveaway. But this is a thing that was used, presumably by people. A thing that was used. It has some historical context in about, that's probably a year, in about 1472. Something like that. Maybe it was replaced with something else with the use of blank. There's an interesting italicized 10-letter word there. This apostrophe is weird. I need to think about that. That could be a foreign language. It's not common to have apostrophes after the first letter in English words. That could be a Romance language, an italicized Romance language word. At the expense of blowing out my clock, I just wanted to point out that it's helpful to just go to Wikipedia and look at articles for certain kinds of things. If you look up a person, for example, like Florence Nightingale, an historical person, there's going to be a pattern to it. The Redactle game tends to omit this stuff here. And it'll start here. It's giving a pronunciation of her last name. And then the dates are always formatted the same way, where there's a 1 or 2 digit number, a month, and then a 4-digit year. And it shows them as a range of dates separated by what looks like an M dash or an N dash, one of those dashes. A lot of articles have history sections in them, but people tends to have an early life section. Also, people articles tend to have a lot of pronouns like he's and she's. And sadly, most of the articles in Redactle, which come from the 10,000 or so vital articles on Wikipedia, tend to have more he's than she's. Okay, going back to the game. This is obviously not a person. I don't think it's a country, just by the way the first sentence is structured, or a city or anything like that. But it is some thing with historical significance. I think that word is history. This is probably a date range. It was a blank against the blank. So there's two things we need to do here. One is we need to figure out where this thing is, if it indeed has a location, and we need to figure out when it was significant, if it is still significant. So, common words I typically use in articles like this are century and war. Okay, so this is in the late something century. So this thing is a blah 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 and blah blah blah, which something 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 in the late something century. Now, several references to centuries. A four-digit or four-letter word in front of century is going to be anywhere from 11th to 21st. It's AD we're talking about. So this is a thing which is probably not ancient. I'll go ahead and put in the word ancient just to confirm. Yeah, 0 hits. I'm going to do 20th is usually a good bet. It might appear in there. No, this is an old thing. I'm just going to keep going back until I get a hit. So there's a 19th century. That might have been when this thing was last used. That's that is not late 19th century. It's some other modifier. I'm going to go back by 2s. 17th? Yeah, a lot of 17ths. This is sort of, can I go back to 15th? No. So 17th, there we go. Okay, late 16th century is when this thing first crops up. A lot of hits in the 17th. There are probably some 18th century hits as well. Yes, an equal number. Okay, so that gives us a when. This thing, late 16th century, 17th, 18th, and then not so much in the 19th. This also means that because of my very poor amount of knowledge about history, and I will probably not recognize any wars that occurred during this period. But let's go ahead and do the word war, which is the other word I often use. And there's only one of them, so this is not... That's unusual for a historical thing. And I don't know what war that is. So the next thing we want to do is get a location. I see across blank. Blank is a location. It's a 6-letter word. That feels like it could be Europe. Yep. And this is a part of Europe, like Western Europe, Eastern Europe. No. Something Europe. Coastal Europe? Don't know. Is blah 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 and blah blah blah, which originated, no, that word's too long, in blank. Okay, so it's something like which originated in Spain or some other 5-letter country, maybe. Well, there's Spain. In Italy? Yes. Okay, so 5-letter country. So now we've got a rough time period that this thing happened in, which is basically the Baroque era, and immediately afterwards, the Enlightenment. And then we've got... actually, I don't know if the Enlightenment is after Baroque. I don't even know if they're related. Anyway, whatever. But it's in, 16th, 17th, 18th. It starts in Italy. Could be like a musical style. It could be, a cultural thing of some sort. The lack of the word war makes me believe it might be. There are definitely a lot of articles that reference music. Now is a good point to maybe, since I have some context, to look at the rest of the article and see. So there's definitely this sort of spreading across Europe, Spain, etc. It appears to be a European thing. Just to see how widespread. Oh, and there's a mention of Italy. This 6-letter country very well may be France. Yep. So this is a structure of this article that it lists countries where activity in this thing occurred in Italy and France. So this leads me to believe it's some kind of, it could be like a cultural thing, possibly musical thing. That could be late Baroque. Actually, let's just try Baroque. Yep, late Baroque. Let's try music. That would, it's still a long shot, but nah. There's a couple hits. Baroque music. Huh. Well, interesting. This is 3-4, by the way. If you've played this game a lot, you will immediately recognize as the See Also section. And if you get hits on that, it's very helpful because it's giving you related ideas. Baroque music is a related idea. So, I was not far off there. And there's also many hits for Baroque and one of music in the 12 section, which is the bibliography. It's going to have a lot of, it's a 12-letter title, a lot of italicized titles. So See Also, bibliography will be at the end of the article. Okay, and in Spain. So yeah, I think this is some type of cultural thing. Baroque, and it's related to Baroque music. Oh shit, Baroque is in the title. What is 12? I didn't even, I did Baroque and didn't even notice that. Oh, okay. 12, Baroque architecture, maybe? Ta-da! Okay, I feel good about that one. Again, I always ignore these solve times because I believe the piece of software on this website that accumulates solve times is broken. And so these solve times are always ridiculously low. I don't think it's bots. I think the website is broken and probably counting page loads on already solved puzzles, which drives down the median. So the only number I think that's really important on this is the global median. And that's sort of what I tend to play against. I like that I have a relatively high accuracy today, and I got it relatively quickly, so that's cool. This game has a limited number of puzzles, so many of them have been played before, and so they do collect stats, I believe, on prior plays on previous days. Anyway, I feel good about that. I'll see you on the next one.